the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Monday morning. We are so glad that you have joined us whenever and wherever it is that you join us each and every day here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. It's Brett. That's Faith. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too.
It's really not morning for us right now. We're recording this podcast. We are in Birmingham for the finals for high school basketball, and what can you say? It's a long week for us, and so we did this last night. So if you're commenting away, we appreciate it so much. We won't be able to interact with you, so you may have several recorded pods this week with all of us going in different places, but glad to have everybody join us this morning. Our podcast is brought to you by the Glenda Mitchell Law Firm each and every day. Everything Auburn Blitz is brought to you by Glenda Mitchell, and we cannot thank her enough. Her and her whole team, Faith, they're just tremendous.
They're awesome. I mean, I don't know how many billboards we saw on our way up.
A million.
Birmingham, yeah. But she really is the person that you need to call if you get in an accident, or I know if your family members, relatives, friends get in an accident because you want to fight her and she is a fighter.
We hope nobody ever does. So, there was an accident in Neville Arena on Saturday night, just the unthinkable. I don't really know what to say. Auburn falls to Ole Miss. I can't believe I said this. A 12-17 Ole Miss.
Brett, I think you've had to rock out the thesaurus for what kind of losses we've been taking, because what have been the titles of the last couple of podcasts?
Horrendous, terrible, now disastrous. I almost had unacceptable. I almost had unthinkable. I had a bunch of them, but the one I kept going back to is just disastrous, because that's what
disaster.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse, really, Faith. I'm just going to be honest about it with everybody. It's embarrassing. Stephen Pearl lost this team sometime after the Florida game. This is an Ole Miss team that had lost 10 games in a row. And Auburn was playing really good basketball when they played Ole Miss the first time and went over to Oxford and won that game. But you and I were talking about the final 6 games coming down the stretch, and you could not have drawn up better opponents for Auburn. You got Kentucky and Alabama in there. Hell, you beat Kentucky. That's one of the games you said, okay, maybe you lose that one. But you had Oklahoma on the road, who is literally a dump, okay, which is not much better than we can't really say anything about anybody being a dump. But they beat us. Mississippi State, I don't even know what that was. In the first half, we come back, take the lead. We lose that game. So you go 1-2 in those first 3. And so now you get home and you go, we've got Ole Miss and LSU, the literal bottom of the SEC. All you've got to do is win those 2 games in a building that it's been next to impossible for anybody the last 5 to 6 years to come in and win. And hell, you lose the first one. And now you got LSU and Alabama left, and I think this one, Joe Lunardi still has Auburn in somehow. Faith is the last 4 in. They're not in the last 4 buys now. They're in the last 4 in, which means they probably have to play that goofy play-in game if they were to get in. But still, you had to win against Ole Miss and LSU to pretty much cement yourself as a 10 or 11 seed in the tournament. You can't even do it.
To witness what we witnessed on Saturday in Neville Arena, it tells me that they do not want to be in the tournament. It tells me they are so far checked out. You've got Keyshawn Murphy showing up late to practice. You've got everybody on the court except 2 guys with a terrible attitude.
There's really no other way to spin it.
What's happened?
I don't know. I go back and I look at.
You can't even say that the attitude on this team at the beginning of the season or the morale was good. You can't say that.
I said this to you the other night. This was not a bad basketball team. This team had holes, and everybody knew it. But this was, and I talked to 2 or 3 more media members up there on press row after this was over, and they all 1,000% agreed. This team is a tournament team based on the talent. Now, it's not the deepest team, and yeah, were you expecting some other guys to step up? Did you have a bad break with Emeka Porum having a medical condition that he couldn't play? Yeah, you did. But the 7 guys that you should be playing against majority of this league, you should be as good or better. Now, I'm not saying you're Tennessee or Alabama or Florida, even though you beat them and you beat Arkansas and you beat Kentucky. Hell, I don't know how we did that. So, but this team does show through that. You can beat St. John's. You can go down to the last second with Houston. They've shown that.
But the thing is, Brett, is part of that was, or a lot of those games were at the beginning of the season,
so
right?
Long in the past, yes.
Where you thought that your team was going to connect maybe towards the middle of the season because, yeah, a few losses here and there and definitely some scatterness from the team,
right,
that you thought, okay, maybe by the middle of the season or towards the end, they're really going to gel and connect and it's going to be a cohesive team. What you've seen is them fall further and further apart. Some people bounce back from losses and decide to get stronger and learn from that. Some teams break.
Let's revisit the SEC schedule for Auburn. An overtime loss to Georgia. You knew Georgia they were predicted to be a decent team. You lose 104-100 in overtime. Texas A&M, you hit a buzzer beater. Should have won the game 91-90. Had a 16-point lead, by the way. You let it dwindle away. That was the foreshadowing right there, where you let a 16-point lead in the second half, I think it was 7 minutes to go, Faith, if I'm not mistaken, go away to the point where A&M had a lead. You had a buzzer beater, but then it's waved off, you lose. Okay, so you start off 0-2. But then you beat Arkansas like a drum, Missouri on the road, come back, squeaked that one out against South Carolina, but, hey, Jovic had a great game. Then you go on the road, beat Ole Miss pretty bad, and then go to Gainesville, who nobody thought there was a chance, and you know what, or where to win that game. Auburn goes down, holds Florida to 67 points. We're sitting there going, Auburn is on a heater. Auburn won 4 games in a row, had to go on the road to Tennessee, had their chances in that game, but lost that game. But you go, okay, hard-fought loss, no problem. You come back, you lose to Alabama, you score 92 points, you don't play a lick of defense. Alabama beats you. Then Vanderbilt comes in, and you and I looked at each other, and that was one of the most drab, no energy games of the season. Lose 84-76. Go to Arkansas, fight hard. That was on Valentine's Day. Broke a bunch of people's hearts. Lose that game. And then maybe
terribly. You lose that game so bad. It was such a messy, sloppy game. That one, now that you say that, I fully remember talking about how it was Valentine's Day and my heart was in pieces because of Auburn. That just brought back some memories.
I forgot to tell everybody about Texas. You won. You beat South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, Texas, lose to Tennessee, and then this run. Tennessee lost, Alabama lost, Vanderbilt lost, Arkansas lost, Mississippi State lost. That's awful. Just awful. Then you beat Kentucky, and then you lose to Oklahoma and then now Ole Miss. I mean, you've lost 7 of your last 8 ball games. 7 of your last 8 ball games now. And again, you could not have drawn out having a better ending to a season with 6 games. You had 2 quad 1 opportunities, Kentucky and Alabama. And then you had literally the bottom of the league to get into the tournament. And Faith, we heard Stephen Pearl after the game Saturday. He pretty much said it on the air. He said, well, that probably did us in. Okay, yeah, if you beat Alabama somehow in Tuscaloosa, maybe that's a shot in the arm going into the tournament, and maybe that's enough for the committee. But that loss to Ole Miss, and I don't know what you're going to see Tuesday night in Neville Arena at LSU. I mean, I don't know what the crowd's going to be. 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock tip-off on a Tuesday.
Against a team that's the identical record now as you, 15-14. So when you look at the standings, you got LSU and South Carolina at 3-13, Ole Miss, who just won their 4th game against you at 4-12, Oklahoma, who just beat you to get to 5-11, and Mississippi State, who just beat you 5-11. And somehow you're 6-10 above them, but you have lost to Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss in the last week, 2 weeks. And now you got one more left, LSU. And I'm telling you, it's going to take a whole different spin, Faith, if you lose to this team.
You're going to need a whole different team than whatever team played against Ole Miss to show up
right
on Tuesday. Because
I mean, what is LSU thinking right now? They
have a piss poor team that they're going to come in and wipe the floor with them because they don't give anything. Because look at their performance. I mean, I'm serious. Look at their performance and tell me right now that any of them care.
All right, here's what I have a problem with. Oklahoma, no chance of a tournament berth. Wanted the game more than Auburn. Ole Miss, 0 chance. Their season's been over for a month. No chance at a tournament. Had better effort than Auburn in their own building. Like, that's what I've got a problem with. Like, why this team had a tournament still riding. They had a lot to play for. And they have let literally the bottom dwellers of this conference who should have just rolled over and played dead to just get the season over, come out and go, you know what? We're going to try to ruin their season. We're going to try to knock them out of going to the NCAA tournament. And I think they have. I think that was so damaging on Saturday. I think the committee, now again, Joe Lunardi somehow has Auburn still in, but we'll see. I don't see it. I don't. And here's the question. Do they deserve to get in, Faith, at this point?
No, because here again, you can tell this team is checked out. They don't care. Literally look at the bench, look at them in warm-ups, look anywhere, and tell me you see a group of guys that are hungry, ready to fight. You know what it feels like, Brett? It feels like I'm walking over to the offensive line last year. That's how it feels. That is the same atmosphere I'm getting at basketball that I was getting last year over on the offensive line side.
Just dead. No emotion, going through the motions. All right, let's talk about some of our partners because they're not dead and they don't go through the motions. They are the best in the business, and we always start with
Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. Finally, call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama, proud supporters of Auburn athletics and a proud supporter of Auburn Blitz. With how the weather is finally maybe back to being warm, who knows? It is time for your AC to be kicked on, and you want a carrier unit installed by Sensagreen to save you lots of money.
Scout Program Management is a full construction management firm. They're located right here where we are in Birmingham, Alabama, and they serve the Southeast for your next major project. Check them out online, scoutpm.com. They're the best in the business. They take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product. You don't have time to follow and monitor a project of that size. That's why you hire Scout Program Management. Don't take our word for it. Go check them out now, scoutpm.com.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn, the best place for you to go if you want to hear some live music, have fun, watch sports. I mean, it's been popping off recently, Brett. You and I've driven past it on the weekends and even during the week, and they are busy, busy, busy. And they've got some of the best happy hour deals that you can get in Auburn. And that right there should sell it within itself.
That place is just hopping every time we go by. Another place is hopping. Alabama's premier golf cart superstore, the Cart Source. I'm telling you, on a heater, Harrison is selling these golf. The weather's turning, Faith. Everybody wants to buy a golf cart, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. I mean, that's what you want. And again, it's right there on Highway 280 in Dayville. Easy Go Cushman, Yamaha Club Car. Every single thing that you want, they've got it. And we appreciate all of our partners so much, and we got a few more that we'll hit before we get off. Hey, what happened? What happened to this team? Like, I'm being honest. Like, I don't know what happened, because Auburn was literally looked like they had navigated the first part of this schedule before SEC play and said, okay, you had a couple losses that were tough, but you were playing one of the toughest schedules in the country, and you got a couple really good wins mixed in there. And then you had a couple of games where you just, like, you were right there with Houston. I mean, it was a great game. You lost on a last-second shot. But after the Florida game, you and I talked about this the other day, and you said it appears that that was the peak of the season. So what happened to this team from your perspective? I've got my thoughts on it, but I don't know what caused this team to unravel after it went on a 4-game winning streak. And look, before the 4-game winning streak, they lost on a reverse buzzer beater where they wiped it off and lost in overtime on the road. It wasn't like you started the season like, oh, crap. I mean, you were right there. And then you went on a 4-game winning streak and knocked off what I think probably will end up being the national champs unless something happens. This team is mowing people down. Like, I know Michigan and Arizona's good. I get it. But, hell, I'd take Florida right now against anybody with the way they're playing. So you beat them on the road, and it's just like, since then, where's the identity?
I think you've had so many off the court problems that have trickled into the lineups, the energy, the effort. That to me has been one of the biggest issues that you don't normally see in Auburn basketball, especially for the last couple of years with Bruce Pearl as your head coach. You don't see a lot of just attitude issues. I know we saw a little bit last year, but you know, that's not the identity that Auburn basketball has been, okay? And the beginning of the season, you think that like every most teams start out, you know, trying to get to know each other, trying to find who they are as a team, whatever. And, you know, Auburn kind of was on that uphill way. And it was, okay, later on in the season, you'd rather be losing games in December than you would in February, March, right? Well, this team, ever since the Florida game, has decided that either A, that was good enough for us, you know, whatever, this is what we needed, and has just gone downhill since. And I don't know if the belief of this team and this place of Auburn University, Neville Arena, has just completely gone over the heads, or if the idea of being mediocre and having.
Hey, how fast it has changed that was one of the most daunting places to come in and win. And now everybody come on down. I'm not talking about good teams having to come in there and fight to squeak out a win. You're letting teams that had 9 and 10 wins come into that building and have break 10-game losing streaks in your building. Faith, read that. I want everybody – I don't know if everybody has seen or heard. This woke me up yesterday when I read this. 356 days prior where this program was to where it is now.
Auburn was 27-2. Won the toughest league in sports history. And
literally the toughest league, Faith. The numbers don't lie. That league last year was the hardest. The most teams ever from the SEC get in the NCAA tournament. Like, not just saying that was every year you go, oh, it's just no. That historically was the hardest year in SEC play.
14 teams made it out of 16.
Yes.
And they were number 1 in the country. You and I did week to week on Mondays, or it was Tuesday after it had already come out. We would say, all right, we are on week number 5, 6.
Counting.
How long is this going to happen? Okay. 1 leap year later, 356 days later, Auburn is 15-14 and 11th in the SEC.
I mean, no, we don't have the same team we had last year. I can already – I bet some people are going to say, well, it's apples to oranges. And it is. The roster's different. But come on. The feel of this program right now, it's you're letting teams, another team, come into Neville and scorch the nets from behind the arc. 10 threes by a team, Faith, that averages 3 3-pointers a game. I'm not talking about a team that's streaky shooting threes. They're horrible. And they came in and shot like they were the number 1 team in the country. Our defense on the
Ole Miss typically shoots 33% or less in all the games that they've been playing. And then you're telling me you come in and you shoot 40%.
That number was much higher. They went on a stretch. I believe they made 10 threes, but at one point they were 5 of 6. And then they missed 6. And then they went back, and obviously they hit 5 more throughout the game. But Auburn would make a run in the second half. And look, Auburn came out, if you'll remember, gave up the lead right at half again, had like a 6-point lead.
Going into halftime with all those timeouts.
Left 2 in the pocket. Or was it more than that? I think it was 2. But you were up 6 and then end up being down 1. They go on a 7-0 run to end the first half to have a lead. And then you go on I think Auburn went on like a 9-0 run to start the second half, and they were up 48-40. So that's right. They were down 1. So went on a 9-0 run. They were up 48-40. And then from there, complete unraveling. Like in your building, all the momentum, terrible team, put them away. Here's the run. And it's the opposite. It's like Ole Miss went on like a 17-4 run at that point.
Yeah, they were on a heater.
I just, there's no identity. I'm tired of talking about it. Everybody's tired of talking about it. There are some good players on this team, but you just hit the nail on the head just a minute ago. 2 of your leaders that you felt like were going to be your team leaders, you've had to suspend this year. You've had to suspend Tahad Pettiford, and you've had to suspend Keyshawn Hall because for multiple different reasons. You had Keyshawn Murphy, who didn't get to start Saturday because he was late to film, who was a guy that I would have thought never would have shown up late to anything. That's just the demeanor of that guy. He's an all-in, high energy all the time. Just had 25 against Kentucky last Saturday, to be honest. Was like, you're thinking, man, Murph's like turning the corner, and then all of a sudden he gets benched because of not showing up on time. And then Caden Magwood's been nobody knows what all has happened with that. And then Philip Jovic has really gone missing since South Carolina. He's been okay, but I don't know. This team just looks like it.
Time and time again, the only people whose names we're bringing up in a positive light is Elijah Freeman and Kevin Overton.
That's it.
And
you let AJ Storr come off the bench and score 26 points. I mean, you're not even a starter for Ole Miss. They had 26 on the road now. And then the turnovers, Ole Miss had 16 assists. Auburn had 8. Again, doubled up. Turnovers were terrible. Auburn had 14. Ole Miss had 9. They took care of the ball better. And stats don't lie. And that's kind of where this is. So now you shift gears and you go to LSU, and I don't know what you're going to see Tuesday night. I'll be being honest with you. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to see. I don't want to blame the fans. The atmosphere was not good Saturday. And if you thought it wasn't good Saturday, now you're coming in to two teams that are 15 and 14. They're tipping at 9 o'clock. I'm interested. You and I will be there. I may be able to holler at you from where I sit down to your place on the floor on the far end of the court. And me and you can probably have a conversation and be able to hear.
Well, I can tell you I heard everything on Saturday night.
Not from me.
No, not from you. But from Auburn's bench all the way over to where I was, I could hear everything. And I was shocked by some of the things that I was hearing and the conversations that were being had. Right. I told you right after it happened, I was like,
Stephen's press conference lasted 2 minutes and 32 seconds. He had a 25, 30-second opening statement and took 3 questions and basically said in all 3 of them, I got to go back and watch the film.
You know the last time we heard that?
Unfortunately, I do.
We were so close then too, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't said that yet.
Yeah, but it's the same principle.
There's a lot of apologizing every week, and so here's the deal. I'm pulling for Stephen Pearl. I hope
we all are. Okay.
Here's the deal. This season, unless there's a miracle, you're probably not going to make the tournament. I don't know that you accept an NIT berth. I really don't. Not with this team. And then you go back, you go ahead and regroup, and you go, all right, here's where we got to get better. We got to get better, first of all, at defending the perimeter. You got to go get some guys that can really get after it there. And then maybe you got to go get some guys that got a better attitude. I hate to say it that way, but I'm not the only one saying that out there. I heard multiple people Saturday in the press corps pretty much saying, well, I can tell you what I think the problem is.
What do you think Alex Golish did when he came in?
100%.
And that's the difference, is that Stephen was handed this team. These are not his guys.
Right.
Golish was able to pick and choose and kick out whoever he didn't want. So, again, we're not sitting here completely just dogging Stephen because, again, we get it. This is not his team.
But somewhere along the line, he lost this team. And I'm not blaming him solely, but he did not get through and register to these guys. I'm sure he has peeled paint on walls. I'm sure he's tried everything, but it does not resonate with some of these guys on this team. And I think you said it best a few minutes ago. I think some of them are just waiting for the season to get over. And so, we've had our problems with attitudes. Chad Baker-Mazara, who, by the way, is done at USC, hurt his leg. Let's go sit in the stands.
Yeah.
Let's get hurt, and okay, I can't do anything anymore, so I'll just go sit in the stands. So, I mean, that again, Chad Baker-Mazara, no matter what uniform he puts on, it's always going to be about him.
It's got Baker Mazara on the back, and that's who he's playing for. He ain't playing for the school.
It's right. It's all about him. He doesn't care, obviously, about his own actions hurting the people around him, because that's what he did in that tournament 2 years ago against Yale. So nobody's surprised by that, but I did have to say something about that. I did have to bring that up. So, all right, let's go back to some of our partners here.
Russell Medical Center. If your heart is breaking like mine is from all of this, head over to Russell Medical Center. I know that they're not doing the same Happy Heart Month, Health Month in February this month, but they are going to start doing different things each month to help you stay on top of your health. And that is so special that Russell Medical is doing that, because it's getting everybody in the community and everybody super involved and in touch with their health. And so Russell Medical Center in Alexander City, it's on Highway 280, just about 35 minutes up from Auburn. You don't have to go to the big cities and beat the traffic, going to and from. You can just go up to Alexander City. And if there is something that is really, really wrong with you, they will send you to UAB, because they are partnered with UAB. And where else would you rather go?
Hope nothing's wrong with you. But, yes, go check out Russell Medical Center, and also go check out Allen City Marine for the best boat opportunities and options out there. All powered by Suzuki, Honda, and Mercury, the best in the business. Center consoles, pontoons, whatever it is that you're looking for. Hey, if you're listening in Pod World, it's 256-215-3474 to call them ahead. Go out there and check it out, though. Spring's right around the corner, and you'll be wishing you had one of those boats from Allen City Marine. Okay, Auburn wins over Nebraska, 3-game set. They lose in extra innings, 9-8 the first game. Tough deal. Auburn had a lead. Nebraska comes back. They had, I think, a 9-5 lead in the 10th. Auburn comes back, had second and third, and Fralick popped out to end the game. But again, comes back, run rule them on Saturday, 15-4, 12-3 yesterday. Auburn wins the series, improves to 9-2 on the season. Very good team, Faith. The bats are showing up now. The pitching is still stellar. I mean, they gave up 9 on Friday, but they were late runs. Auburn let that and get away, but again, they dialed it in on Saturday and Sunday and won, really going away. It wasn't even close. So this is the number 5 ranked team in the country, and they look like it. It was good to get Chris Rembert back in the lineup. All of that, Bubs hitting the baseball well, Chase Fralick. I can go down the list. You got, and we'll talk more about the baseball team as we move along this week, but a good weekend for them and a good weekend for the softball team as well. So
yeah, I think now that, you've kind of got the guys that they needed to just play some and get a feel for the lineups and everything. And
yes.
Now that you got Chris back, the offense is really starting to take off, and that's what you need. And, it takes a loss sometimes to have that bounce back and regroup, regather in some cases. In this case,
right.
Yeah. In other cases, not so much.
Yeah, so just to kind of recap the weekend for softball, they beat Troy 10-4, and then they lose 9-5 and 6-2 to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, number 11 in the country, tough losses there. Then they beat UC Upstate 13-5 in 5 innings and 2-1 yesterday. So, mixed bag. You win 3, you lose 2, but they lost to the best team this weekend, and so Virginia Tech. So still some work to be done, but not terrible overall. But SEC schedule is creeping up closer. The softball team is now 14-4, and so 3 of those losses are to really UCLA, and 2 of them now to Virginia Tech, and both of them are top-ranked teams. So, hey, you go get challenged and see what you can do, but I think they'll have a good season. It looks like they're moving toward that. All right, Faith, that's going to wrap us up here on a Monday. We got a full slate of basketball ahead of us today. Everybody tune us in on the HSA Radio Network all week from Birmingham. All the state championship semifinals and finals right there on AHSARadionetwork.com and AHSA.com for y'all to listen to. I'll let you send us out.
Hope everyone has the best day and best week.
Absolutely. And we will see you tomorrow for more of the Auburn Blitz.